I feel like there's a gender neutral term for niece and nephew, but I can't remember what it was. I feel like I heard
I
it
think
one
it's
time. Nins? Something like that.
nibbling.
Nibbling. That sounds like a slur.
Oh, no way. No wonder nobody ever
It
says
says
that.
it. Yeah. Hello and welcome to the Chris Paul episode of the Hoop Theory podcast, aka episode 105, which is in honor of him being the best player selected in the 05 NBA draft. Recording this one on the afternoon of Sunday, October 13th in the year of our Lord 2024. My name is Logan Wertman, and as usual, I'm joined by my hypnotic co-host, Jacob Roth. Jacob, how does it feel to be on the Chris Paul episode?
It feels really good. So is he the best, just the best overall out of the 05 draft?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for
what
sure.
What were the other notables?
Well, we've got Darren Williams and Raymond Felton. Those
the
two,
big three battle.
Yeah, of the best point guard in that draft.
It's comical because they're all small.
Yeah. Oh, big. Yeah. Ironic. Darren Williams was the only one that really lived up to somewhat of a rivalry with Chris Paul, but still was not quite to the same level as Chris Paul, other than for a little short stretch there where Darren Williams is really tearing things up, kind of the forgotten, MVP candidate that existed during his prime,
Had a 2-year run of being maybe longer than 2 years. Maybe that's cutting him short. But
probably his last couple years in Utah, and then his first year and a half in Brooklyn was like really where it was at its peak. And then Andrew Bogut was actually the first overall pick. I believe the only Australian, I want to say, who's ever been the first overall pick in the draft. I'm just pulling that out of nowhere.
Simmons.
But that is true. Ben Simmons, which did he grow up? He was born and raised in Australia?
I'm pretty sure he was an Australian until he went to LSU.
Oh, okay. He never has sounded like he has an accent to me, is the weird thing when I hear him talk. But so I always forget he's Australian.
I know he would play for the Australian national team if he was wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which I think Matisse Thybulle did also, but he was born and raised in Washington, or in America at least, not in Washington. I think his mom was from Australia.
So it looks like it might have been college. He went to Montverde
Academy.
Verde, whatever. It's in Florida. I thought it was Spanish. Yeah. Montverde.
Most people say Montverde, I think, is from what I've heard.
Montverde Academy.
That's high school.
I'm assuming for high school. So He was at Box Hill Senior Secondary School in Melbourne before moving to high school for the U.S.
Melbourne. Yeah, nice. I don't understand that, how Australians say Melbourne. I don't know if you've heard that, but that's how they pronounce it.
Yeah.
I don't see an I anywhere in there. Apparently Bourne, Bourne, says bin.
Well, yeah, there's like a lot of, that's just like a dialect thing.
It happens over time. But other than that, though, there was like a lot of like pretty decent players. None that are like, Chris Paul's level at all. Like, is a pretty clear head and shoulders above the rest of the class.
Yeah.
Even though he was the 4th overall pick, he was not the first. That would have been Andrew Bogut, like I mentioned. But yeah, before we get into the Pacific Division here, which is the second to last division we need to cover in this series heading into this new NBA season, I'd first like to say thank you for listening. Please be sure to hit us up on Patreon or buy me a coffee if you would like to support us. That's patreon.com/hoop theory and buymeacoffee.com/hoop theory. All of our links can also be found in the description of both the show and the episode, wherever you're watching or listening to this. We would also greatly appreciate it if you would rate the show, leave a like or a comment. Of course, be sure to subscribe and follow the feed. And lastly, we'd also love it if you sent something into our mailbag for us to read and react to, basketball related or otherwise. You can send those over to hooptheory.mailbag@gmail.com. And now, without further ado, we can hop right into the first team here in the Pacific Division. Over in the Bay Area, used to be Oakland, now famously San Francisco in the Chase Center. And that is the Golden State Warriors. And so their line, I don't know if it's moved at all, but if it has, it came back to where it previously was when I first looked at these, because it was at 43.5 in my notes, and that's where it is at today as of recording. So 43.5 is their line. Their record last year was 46-36, and their line heading into last season was 48.5, which I think this was one of your overlocks, actually.
I talked myself into it.
I think I went stay away, I want to say, on the Warriors.
I remember I started at like just a regular under, and then like the more and more I was like, Steph is going to definitely have like a bounce back type of like, it wasn't like a bounce back, but it was like Steph is going to have a year, and then he just didn't, and then nothing else went right, and I was very wrong.
Yeah, they weren't too far from their line. They were just 2.5 wins from it, but still fell short. But yeah, we have them at 18th in our power rankings, which sounds pretty low, but they're definitely in like that hodgepodge mix of like from a bunch of teams.
10 to 17 is like this mess of maybe
they're
not
18th.
10.
Yeah,
10 to 18.
I would say like maybe 19 from 19-ish. I don't remember who we have at 19.
Rockets.
The Rockets. Oh, yeah. So I would toss them in there a little bit. I would say 19 to like 13 or 14 range is all kind of interchangeable a little bit. But
it's just like teams where you're like, on paper, I could see this going extraordinarily well and then being really good, but I don't know. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. So the Warriors are definitely in that camp. There's some moves that they could have made this offseason, famously, and we kind of mentioned it last episode with the Lauri Markkanen, but the one thing I left out, the detail I forgot to mention there, was the reason why that deal didn't end up happening, apparently, was because the Warriors front office, Mike Dunleavy, was not willing to throw in Brandon Pajimski into the trade to get Lauri Markkanen, which I think is insane.
Also, I think I get, like, on paper that sounds nuts, but also anyone doing like business with Danny Ainge has to be like, what is he doing? He never loses. He always does like some sort of like, the Nets probably were like, this is great. We get KG and Paul Pierce, and it just costs us a couple firsts down the road. This is great. We're going to win this year. We've got Darren Williams. This is going to go awesome.
Joe Johnson. Yeah.
Like this
Brooke Lopez.
is, yeah. And then Danny Ainge is laughing as he handed off the keys to the next guy with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum because of that trade.
Who's the next guy? Handed off the keys to the next guy?
Just Brad Stevens. Like, handed off the keys to the Celtics to the next guy. He's not still the Celtics GM.
Well, yeah, not anymore, but he was around for a long time with Jaylen and Jason.
No, I understand. I'm saying he handed off the keys to the next guy, him having Jason and Jaylen. Like,
yeah.
He just was like, I'm leaving, whatever. This is what I'm leaving you, which is like a core that could compete for championships until 2030.
Yeah,
so,
as we've started to see already. Yeah.
But I would be skeptical if I was a GM doing anything with Danny Ainge. Like, why do you want that?
I think that's fair. But also, I'm like, I just, Lauri Markkanen on this Warriors team is just such a perfect fit to me.
I also, but I think they're really high on pods, like higher than, like, people are like high on him, but I feel like they're in the
I don't
Warriors
think they think he's going to be a star, right? I don't think so.
I think they kind of do.
They do?
I think they kind of do.
Okay. I don't really see that, but I mean, I really like Brandon Pajimski.
I don't either. Like I said, I think they're just like the highest. They like what we think is like plausible but not likely is what they think is going to happen.
Yeah, probably, honestly. So I guess they just have this massive confidence in Brandon Pajimski, who is a really good rookie last season. Don't get me wrong,
really, really good rookie.
And one of their most impactful players. They couldn't keep him off the floor. He's just very smart, very intuitive.
Maybe a apron issue. Throwing that out there as well. They have a lot of money in Golden State for being very bad. I don't know how that impacted them with the aprons. If they
would have gotten Markkanen, you're saying?
If they would have gotten Markkanen, they would have had to pay pods they want pod. I don't know how it all, but maybe it would have been like some sort of an apron thing down the road that they were worried about. I don't know. This is
I guess I don't remember what the exact details, or if there were exact details of the proposed market and trade, but I would guess Andrew Wiggins' money would probably be the bulk of it. So they would be getting rid of that big contract, which would definitely help there. And Draymond, I think on his next extension, will probably not be getting close to a max, I would assume.
Yeah. He's already gotten one more close to max deal than he should have, probably. But
yeah, so we'll see what happens there. But the moves that they did make, though, they got Buddy Hield as their Klay Thompson replacement,
which is great. Yeah. That's awesome. Like, that's a very good. Honestly, with how Klay has progressed, like negatively, downwardly regressed, rather, as opposed to progressed, regressed. I feel like this might be like a slight upgrade a little bit in a honestly, certain way. Because Buddy Hield feels like he's never been happy where he is at ever for some reason.
Yeah, that's true.
He's been traded multiple times at his request to teams he wanted to go to, and he's just never happy. Maybe
I guess I don't know if it was to teams he wanted to go to, but it was at least getting him out of situations he didn't want to be in.
And then he was. It just seems like he was immediately after was like, I'm kind of done here.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but
maybe playing with Steph side by side with Steph will be. I feel like anybody that's a shooter would be like, please, I would love to play with Steph Curry, or I would love to play with Jokic, or there's like some guys that like if
or
you
Draymond
have a skill set,
honestly,
or both. That's very true. Yeah. Like, this would be awesome. Please let me be there.
Yeah.
But maybe he's got too much Jordan Poole in him, and it won't go well. I don't know. Or maybe Jordan Poole has too much Buddy Hield. I guess that's probably the way it goes. But
it seems like what Buddy Hield, what his issue's been at each stop, from the outside looking in at least, that when he gets into the situation where he's not being called upon as the starter, he's being asked to come off the bench. He doesn't seem to love that role over time, like as it continues.
Yeah, but which might happen again if they're this high on pods.
Exactly. With Pajimski, it's tough to see unless they want to go a little small and have Buddy Hield at the 3. And the other thing is that another guy that they got as an addition, who's also a starting caliber player in the NBA, is DeAnthony Melton, and who's also a guard.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I think he'll probably be much more okay with coming off the bench
and willing to come off the bench
because that's what he's done for most of his career so far. But definitely a guy that can, if you're rolling him out as a starter, I don't think you feel bad about that, especially alongside like a Stephen Curry as like the defensive guard foil to Steph, there in the backcourt, who can also shoot in his own right. So, and then Moses Moody is a guy that maybe we see crack into the starting lineup at times. I'm not sure. I think that Steve Kerr has said that he's not set on an actual 5-man lineup, from what I know, at least last I heard, which I feel like is probably a little bit dated information at this point, so I'm not sure. But and then Jonathan Kuminga, obviously another guy that will probably be in contention for the starting lineup spot. One of the guys that I'd probably bet on being in there, with Kyle Anderson kind of being the backup to him.
I forgot they got Kyle Anderson also.
Yeah, Kyle Anderson was another addition. Kevin Knox apparently is on this team for what it's worth. I don't know how much of an impact he's going to make, but he is here.
I would wager none. Yeah, I feel like we're out of contributors almost.
Out of names to say. But Andrew Wiggins is another guy, though, that's still here and might be good again. Who knows? Like, he's had one good season for the Warriors and for any team, really. And that was the year they won the title back in 22. If he can return to some level of that, at least be able to shoot passively again, that would help a lot. And he's still, a good defensive wing. He hasn't lost that.
That's the part that has not gone away. That I feel like people like. He's not offensively like super great or worth having on the court, but defensively, it is more than worth it. He still does a very good job on that aspect of the game. So it's not like it's a lot of money for a guy that's struggling to score, but defensively, he does do what he is asked very well.
Yeah, exactly. The tough thing is they've got 2 other rotational guys that you can say that same exact thing about with Draymond Green and Gary Payton II.
One of those being extraordinarily cheaper than Andrew Wiggins by a lot.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm.
One like Draymond's not, but Draymond also does like other things.
Yeah.
Vibes for the team or whatever.
Vibes, yeah, playmaking. Also impacts the court, a different part of the court defensively. And more parts of them, honestly. But yeah, so there's some like good players here. I think that their ceiling is also something that I would have questions about, though, because they're like the top end talent on their team is pretty it's sparse. It's pretty thin. They've got
it's
Steph,
Curry and then a Cliff.
Yeah. Draymond, I mean, you can probably hold him up there as like a really good starter in the NBA still at this point, but he doesn't impact the game the same way like most like stars do, or people that you would throw in around the star category. So they're lacking people playing that role for them. And that's kind of why I feel like that market and trade was just a move that you really just should have pulled the trigger on, but who knows? We'll see what happens here with Steph. It feels like the title hopes for the rest of his career in Golden State, at least, don't
and
seem
maybe
very
it's also
promising.
Because Markkanen's very public that he would like to stay in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that was part of like, well, we don't want to get rid of Pods and have him just leave again.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to be here. Because he really, for some reason, likes Utah.
Yeah.
So maybe there's all sorts of different angles that might have impacted it. But yeah, I forgot to start the timer for the Warriors, but I'd imagine we're probably getting to the 12 minutes,
close.
if not moving past. So unless you have something else to add, I am ready to jump into my selection.
Yeah. So I guess with the line of 43.5, I kind of am feeling not super strongly either way, but I feel like I might lean over, honestly.
I lean under.
Okay.
And maybe it's because I just got burned last year. That might be like a big part of it. I also feel like less and less Steph is going to get caught by age at some point.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because he can't do the same thing night in and night out. He still has those peaks that look the same, but we won't be able to see him do it for 60 games or whatever. I don't like. I just don't know what that all looks like and how that all works out. And I lean under, not like a lock under or nothing crazy. I just lean under because of also everything else going on in the NBA. And I feel like a broken record saying this. Everyone else is getting dramatically better.
But I'd say the one exception to that is this division, honestly.
That is true. This is the division that's like, we didn't win anything, let's run it back. And you're like, that seems kind of weird.
Or got rid of things or lost things.
Yeah, that's true. This division is definitely the sick man of the West.
Yeah, which
sounds
is funny
insane.
Because just last season, I remember us talking about like how crazy this division, like how it's like, oh wow, this is by far the best division in basketball. And now it's like, are they the second worst, maybe?
Yeah, it is definitely second because of the Southeast. The Southeast takes the cake unequivocally.
Yeah. But it's not that big of a gap, to be honest. If we look at the power rankings, we have the Warriors here at 18th, and the highest team we have in here, spoiler, is 9. And then we have another team at 20th.
Yeah, we have 16, 17, 18 are all in this division.
Yeah. Exactly.
So most of the division is from in the 16 to 20 range with the one upper echelon team. It's interesting. Yeah.
For sure. So I'll probably stick to over, though. I don't feel great about it. Like I said, last episode, that division was one that I felt like the lines were like I had a strong opinion either way, a strong inkling on where I wanted to go with it. This division is kind of going back to what the other ones have been, where it's like a little bit more, I don't know, the lines are really good and I don't know which direction to go. So I will lean over, though. You will go Did I say over? Over for me, under for you.
I will lean under. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. And then on to the next team, which is perhaps, they had one of the worst off seasons probably of the teams in the NBA, and that is the Los Angeles Clippers. Their line was just a couple weeks ago at 42.5, and it has just like fallen off a cliff all the way 5 wins down to 37.5. Without anything happening.
Oh, well, people realizing what it's gonna be.
Yeah,
Kawhi's
exactly.
not gonna play, and you're gonna have to watch James Harden go 40, 10, and 10 every night, and it be the worst basketball you've ever watched.
Yeah.
Out of principle, I want to lock the under, but 37 is so low.
Yeah. With the amount of like actual guys they have on this team,
there's still a chance Kawhi Leonard plays games.
Yeah, exactly. And even James Harden being bad, like he's gonna get them some wins, like having a James Harden ball team. Nick Batum came back, and I think he's a really good contributor to winning. Bones Highland is on this team. Honestly, like I honestly, even though I didn't like how he left the Nuggets, I still am a believer in Bones Highland as an NBA player. I think he actually will be able to grow into like a very solid 6-man scorer, and he can do that for them. Amir Coffey, I think, is a pretty good rotational wing. If I'm being honest, Kevin Porter Jr. is back in the NBA on this team, the Clippers team. Is
that like official, or is that still like if he's able to, he will be on the Clippers?
He's getting paid $2.4 million. And I don't see any like asterisks, saying that this contract is different.
Well, no, I just didn't know if like after the arrest, if there's like still things to be figured out, or if he was.
I'm not sure exactly. Like, but Kai Jones, another guy, comeback story, also on this team. And you know what? Who's in their dead money? Josh Primo.
Wow.
The Clippers are just collecting all of the dirtbag.
Steve Ballmer is the king of England back in like 1800s, and the Clippers are Australia. Just convicts can live here. Granted, I don't think any of them were actually in prison. I think there was just I looked it up. It was a plea deal was reached with
KPJ.
KPJ was a plea deal, meaning most likely did something, but is not going to spend time in jail.
What would even be the plea deal there? How would there's somebody else that he the only time I've ever heard of plea deals is when you rat out somebody else who's more important to the law enforcement who they're trying to catch or whatever. You give them information that they want in exchange for getting off easy.
I don't know. I don't know if he just was like, instead of going through the whole legal litigation, I'll take these like, I don't want felonies. I'll take misdemeanors and I'll like
do community
agree to
work,
good behavior or something.
Pay a bunch of fines, probably.
And then if you like mess up again, I'm sure you get like Omega slapped on the wrist. Like
a shorter leash.
Jail without question or no bail, or I don't know.
Yeah, no, for sure. Oh, another comeback. This guy didn't do anything bad, but he's just a bust.
Comeback.
Not necessarily. He's a bust, but it feels rude to call him a bust. Mohamed Bamba, Mo Bamba, for people who know him by that name. I mean, I think most people do. I just read.
I don't know if anybody knows him.
Mohamed.
I feel like most people extrapolated his name was Mohamed Bamba, but I feel like nobody was like
ever. I don't feel like I've ever said that.
Yeah.
Mo Bamba is the same name as the song. For those who don't know, I'm sure everybody listening to the show does know. But
see, that's the other thing for me. Like that is a good point. Like he is a bust because he was like a top 10 pick.
He's a sixth pick, in a really good draft. One of the best drafts of all time.
But then, there's some guys where you're like, well, so they were just stupid. It's not your fault that they picked you that high. I know that that's not how it works.
I don't think it was not a bad pick, I don't think.
I thought people did not look at it as a great selection that high.
It was not a shock. I think his projection was going from basically 4th to 7th range. I think he got picked either at 5th or 6th. I can't remember.
It was 6th. I'm looking at it.
Oh, okay.
Dominating was number 1.
Wendell Carter was 7th then?
7.
Okay. That's who
Sexton
I was
was 8. Kevin Knox was 9. Mikal Bridges was 10.
Trae Young was 5th. Luka was 3rd, right?
11th was Shea.
Shea was 11, yeah. And Michael Porter Jr. was 14. Jerome Robinson was like 12th, I think.
Dante DiVincenzo at 17. Okogie was at 20.
Josh Okogie, wow.
And then in terms of guys
Marvin Bagley was the other lottery, like top 5 guy.
Yeah, number 2.
Uh-huh.
Bruce Brown went 42. Vando went 41.
Oh, yeah. Very, very good draft.
Mikhailuk went 47. Just kidding.
Yeah.
D'Anthony Melton, the guy we just talked about, went 46.
Oh, yeah. D'Anthony Melton. And I think I saw Svi Mikhailuk
Shake
on
Milton
somebody's...
went 54.
Shake Milton. Another guy.
And the most important selection, with the 60th pick, Kostas Antetokounmpo.
Oh, really? I didn't know he was Mr. Irrelevant, honestly.
That fits in with the title that he has. Didn't know. Irrelevant. Mr. Irrelevant.
What fits in with the title that he has?
Like irrelevant means I don't think of that. I forgot. Like that's what irrelevant means.
Oh yeah. So
obviously
I would have forgot.
His last name makes him very much relevant.
Yeah. No.
More than he would be based on his on the court accolades.
Yeah.
But
so it is kind of ironic. Yeah. But I think I saw Svi Mikhailuk on somebody's roster recently. Might have been in this division when I was looking through them quickly. It was either this division or last division, I think. Is when I saw Svi Mikhailuk's name. Maybe it was the Kings.
I think he's
I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
We'll maybe get to him. Maybe not. Maybe
I don't. I thought he went to the Jazz.
Oh, maybe it was the Jazz, and I just forgot to. We just didn't mention it. It's not like we forgot necessarily.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway,
he is a Celtic legend, but yeah.
Getting back on track though to the Clippers. I don't think I've said all their things yet, but their line was 42.5. Now it is 37.5. Their record last season was 51-31, and their line entering that season was 46.5. We have them ranked at 20 in our power rankings. And for those who don't know, if we're burying the lead here in people trying to gather information on the NBA who aren't really paying attention, the thing that happened to them that has made them a lot worse now is they lost their second best player, but was really usually their best player
because
most
he's
of the time.
there.
Yeah, because he was the one who was available and actually playing most of the time, and that was Paul George.
Kawhi was around a lot last season, but for the large part
of the 4-year not hiatus, but experiment
was the guy.
Yeah. And Clippers media day, they were throwing all kinds of shots at Paul George.
Very upset that he left. It seems like they are not well emotionally. They have not gotten through is it 7 stages of grief or is it 9?
I don't know, honestly. I thought
they're on whatever step anger is. They are not. They are not through all of them. They have not achieved acceptance yet.
I thought it was funny that I think Kawhi said something like, "Well, he's not my savior," or he's at like something really weird. And it was like, it's funny that he says that when his whole thing when he came to the Clippers was like, my one condition for coming here is you trade like a bunch of stuff that you have, a bunch of your picks, your whole future.
By the way, one of those was almost MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah,
just throwing that out there.
As a rookie, yeah. So trade all of that stuff for this guy, Paul George. I want him. So, like he specifically made that request to get him there.
Is Kawhi Leonard the worst GM in the history of the NBA?
Well, I don't even think that was that bad of a basketball move. It's just funny that for you to do that back then, and then a few years later, now act like you're like, oh, we don't need him. It's just like super, hypocritical.
Yes, I'm more just saying that like. Kawhi Shea would be filthy. That would be
to be fair. Even the most optimist people on Shea at that point were like, "Oh, he's like a fun, bright guy that it's like kind of came out of nowhere a little bit." Yeah, like
like that level
type
of
like could be a good starting point guard.
Could like on a bad year sneak into like
an all-star team, maybe
NBA or all-star, like a late team All NBA or All Star, not be like, if we weren't witnessing, well, maybe the greatest center of all time when it's all said and done, would have probably gotten MVP potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Sorry to put your crown on Jokic this early, but I was thinking about this after last recording because we didn't talk about the Nuggets more than 12 minutes because obviously we talk about the Nuggets a lot.
A lot, yeah.
But I'm like, man, there's like a universe that I think I might live in where like kids in like 10 years, we're going to have to be like, it's going to feel like we're like Jokic defenders, like old heads feel about MJ. We're like, shut your mouth. Alperen Şengün is not that good. He's good, but he's not that good.
He's
Shut
not
up.
Jokic, yeah.
You're insane. I just picked a random name. It's probably going to be a different name, but like we're going to have to do that someday. So everyone listening, brace yourself. Winter is coming. People are going to be stupid. They're not going to know like the insanity.
Like Tim Duncan.
And also,
people have to talk about Tim Duncan.
But if you like watch it, it's not that like, oh wow. There's like a pass every once in a while. You're like, okay, I get it. You have to watch the whole body of work, the whole game, and you're like, he just kind of we talk about like a quiet 20 points. He's just a quiet everything with like one pass a game.
And he controls the whole game. It's like there's nothing you can do to really stop it.
It's like almost more Tim Duncan than Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
Because like Tim Duncan would have games like, okay, Timmy D is cooking. He's cooking. When Jokic is cooking, you don't really notice it.
Exactly. That's what I was kind of thinking. Like sometimes when the Nuggets are at their best, but sometimes, Jokic could be having maybe the best game of his life and nobody notices because if the Nuggets are all playing really well around him, which
because
is more
Jokic
likely,
is playing well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If that's happening, then Jokic is just distributing and being very passive. And like the Nuggets offense is just like getting a good shot every time down. Because of Jokic, but not directly getting stats, from
8 Nuggets scored in double digits, and Jokic is like the only reason that was a thing.
Yeah, that type of thing.
But I feel like we should give the Clippers. I'll put like another 4 minutes on the clock to give them like a little bit of.
We've gone on a lot of tangents.
Like it's okay. We'll give them some more love. Other than they probably don't want it because this will be. I will watch more Nets basketball than Clippers basketball.
Wow. That is really a stretch.
I just have zero interest in watching James Harden have a 92% usage rate, have 40 points, 8 assists, and 4 rebounds. I have no desire to watch that. And I feel like if you turn on the TV, 60 of the 82 times, if Kawhi's not playing, that's what it's going to be. And that sounds lame as hell. I don't want to watch that.
Yeah. You don't want to see Norm Powell be this generation of James Harden's Eric Gordon and Ivica Zubats be. Actually, that's
the only guy that
is different than any center Harden has been paired with before. Honestly,
he's also on my list of guys. He's like on like one of the like.
Oh yeah.
If there's like a Clippers jersey I love, like I might get. I don't love it.
Yeah, Clippers jerseys aren't that great, but the new ones seem pretty. Like they're newer. Normal ones, like how they've rebranded
their new logo.
Their whole,
yeah, I would get a Zubats one because in 2K14, I think.
Whenever he was a rookie, probably 15 or 16.
For some reason, the algorithm randomly decided to give him like insane potential. I don't know if I messed something up when I was messing around with the settings.
Yeah.
Or I just like fed him so much he just insanely got better. But he ended up like a 94 overall center. And it was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. So it must have been 2K17 because he was in the 16 draft. So
no, it was the Kyrie 2K. Is that 17?
18 is the Kyrie cover.
Kyrie and Tom Brady were on the covers of 2K and Madden at the same time. And I was like, it's the Boston guys. That played out terribly. Like I got 2 years of Kyrie, and then Brady was gone shortly after. Not great in hindsight, but it was cool. I did it at the time. So yeah, that was a whole nother tangent. We're trying to focus here on the Clippers.
The oldest player on this team is PJ Tucker at 39, which apparently he's also angry. I've heard somebody say this. I think it was Gilbert Arenas actually, who I also don't like. To be
that's like
clear.
The most. I like to like let everyone have like no one's like talking is a waste of breath. That's not fair. But Gilbert Arenas' podcast is the closest thing to like almost a war crime because of the waste of oxygen.
Yeah.
Like, I would rather we bottle the oxygen up that they're using and then like store it for when all the trees burn down and we don't have oxygen anymore. Because man, it's hard to watch because it's just stupid.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Just, it's not even like, oh, that's a take. It's like, how did you play in the NBA with that like basketball philosophy?
Yeah.
How were you good? You were like good. How?
He was like a spark plug scorer who lacked a lot of like winning qualities, and I think it is very clear why. Yeah.
Honestly, lack of winning qualities is a better name for the podcast instead of like Agent Zero's Campfire or whatever the it's called. Sorry, whatever the heck it's called. I hate that podcast so much.
Me too.
It's so dumb.
I agree. But anyways, I think I saw something that he said on like some kind of post that was aggregated from him. Something he said about PJ Tucker being a not able to fit into a role because he's never been okay with coming off the bench. Like his only requirement is like I'm a starter or whatever. And if he's not a starter, then he's upset. And apparently that's like going on right now with this Clippers team. Understandably, because he's 39 years old. Well, I don't know why he would be a penciled in or even, thought about like this guy's probably a starter. Like they got Derrick Jones Jr. to mention some additions, and that's a guy that will probably be taking some time away from PJ Tucker on the court, I would think, at least. And if Kawhi's not playing, then PJ Tucker's probably a lot more involved, but
so
if not,
Gilbert Arenas said that if he's got to pay somebody $5 million, he would rather pay Thanasis Antetokounmpo rather than PJ Tucker. Mm-hmm. And then he backtracked and said
he's not a locker room cancer, I think is what he said.
I didn't see that part of the quote. PJ Tucker come up to me and said, Gil gotta see me. He said he mad that I compared him to Giannis's brother. See this, I see goddamn look. I swear to God, that's what the quote says. See this is see goddamn look.
Are you, well, I don't even. Or what words are you saying?
Someone's
C
typing.
as in SEE.
SEE. This is SEE goddamn look. I didn't compare him to Giannis's brother. He compared their energy and attitude on the court. I get that.
I don't even think that thing.
Can
that
we cut
Gilbert
this whole
said,
thing out? This is. I'm going to send you this paragraph. If he spoke this doesn't make any sense. This isn't English.
It might just be automatic transcription. So like he could have just been like stuttering or like he started a sentence and that type of thing. It's probably what it is.
No, like see this. I didn't compare him to. Yeah, that makes more sense. But I sent you the paragraph, and
there's no punctuation to help readers along there.
Nope,
at all.
Yeah. Anyway, we can cut that whole thing out.
No, that's okay. I think that was fine to keep in. But the thing that he said though originally, the Thanasis thing, I don't even think is that bad of a take because it's like if PJ Tucker, if he is being a locker room cancer, which I don't know. I'm not gonna make that claim myself, but hypothetically, if he is, then Thanasis Antetokounmpo at this point can probably give at least like 75% of what PJ Tucker gives, somewhat, at least like the energy, the size, defensively. I don't even know if I believe this take.
But do you think like Thanasis has like the same thing that like Grant Williams has, where like people seem to all be like cool with him until he's like not there, and they're like, gosh. He's just a lot.
I think on the
like,
Bucks,
I'll never
at least
forget
everybody...
in the bubble. Well, because they can't be like, dude, Thanasis has got to go.
No. I've heard people who are long gone, like Jeff Teague, long gone from the Bucks. Like, people say like they really like it helps the team having Thanasis there with Giannis, like their connection and like
it keeps everything.
How Thanasis like supports everybody in the team and is just like this guy that's very selfless.
No, it's like a bench spot for vibes. It's
exactly.
I'll just never forget that clip of him in the bubble where like he's like gonna rush the court because and then like no one holds him back, so he stops himself and then tells somebody to hold him back.
Yeah, But yeah, I think PJ Tucker was teammates with Thanasis, which is funny if Gil is being truthful and saying that he got mad that he compared him to Thanasis is what PJ, like, I think PJ Tucker was probably mad about being called a locker room cancer, if anything. Is probably what he was.
I would also
mad about.
assume that a guy that like it seems like those type of instigator abrasive guys are liked in the locker room while they're there.
Yeah.
And then they leave, and that's when it's like, come on, man, you're ticking me off type of thing. But not like in the locker room causing a ruckus. But also, is PJ Tucker the guy we're the most worried about being a locker room cancer in LA?
LA? There's definitely there. Wow, they might be the best. Like, they have number one in that power rankings of having the most.
Throw rocks and you can't miss. Bones Highland. Yep. Kind of weird how he left Denver. James Harden, team number 4 because he wanted to leave. Kawhi, I don't want to play, my knees hurt. Which I think they legitimately do. I'm not saying that it's not like a valid thing. But like, you just
Kai Jones, an insane, crazy person. Literal, just insane person. Like, very unpredictable.
Yeah.
Just freak. I'll just put it out there. But I don't know. They have a lot of them.
So is PJ Tucker at the top of that list? I would wager aggressively no.
Probably not.
Like, I would put a lot of money on a bet that who's the biggest cancer to the Clippers locker room. I'm not going to lean on PJ Tucker.
Maybe it is right now just because he's the most unhappy. I'm not sure. Maybe. But yeah, Bones Highland, I can't imagine, is super thrilled because he hasn't gotten much more of a role in LA than he had in Denver, which was what he was mostly upset about in Denver.
Yeah.
Being kind of not given free reign, just given the green light as much as he did his rookie season when there was no Jamal and we needed Bones Highland to create everything,
Okay, I need to make my pick. We've been talking all bad. 37 wins for how much just raw talent is on the team.
38 is what they need.
Okay, it's still hard to think that with the raw talent they have on this team, they won't get to 38.
I don't think it's hard to think. It's just it definitely could. They definitely could get there. It's not like crazy at all for them to get there. It's also not crazy for them to be below. They might be my
stay away. I'm thinking about using it.
Looking at my notes, I don't even remember what I used. Originally I had an under on them. When the lines were different.
Yeah, well, when the lines are different, I think that's a very easy under.
It might have been my lock, honestly. I didn't have a lock written down yet, but yeah, this might be my stay away also.
Because there's just, just lock it away, put it in a corner. I don't want to think about it.
37.5 wins. I'm going to go under. I'm going to go under. Or were you just about to say that?
No, I still softly lean over, but I think I want to go
lean over.
And it's just because I'm like, even with James Harden being just the most unfun thing to watch, they'll still win games.
Yeah.
And it's not like they need to go 5 games above.
They need to get to 500. Division. Yeah. They're probably the worst team in this division, but not by a lot.
Yeah.
The others, there's definitely some nights you can catch these other teams on, for sure.
And I just don't think that they're bad enough to get caught up by some of these really bad teams.
Mm-hmm.
Is that enough to get to 38? I don't know.
I guess I don't know.
I think I'm going to stay with the stay away for right now, and it might adjust. But I'll go with my stay away right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I think I'll go with the soft under on it because I can't imagine they'd be that much worse. But it also just feels like they will be to me, more likely than not. So I'll go with the under there. Maybe if I don't really feel strongly about a stay away later on, I might come back to it. Make this even more convoluted, but we will see. But yeah, so without further ado, we can move on to the Los Angeles Lakers. The same build. Well, no, they're not in the same building anymore.
Nope, it's new.
We glossed over that with the Clippers. They are in a new arena, brand spanking new. with this like way worse team, which is kind of unfortunate to think about. Kind of similar with the Chase Center situation, how KD left as soon as they moved to the Chase Center.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy, but at least they still won a championship after, in the years after that.
That's true.
I don't think that will happen for the Clippers.
But thanks for bringing it up.
Well, yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I think you're probably sitting pretty nice right now. I'm
content now.
Yeah.
If we would have lost, I would have been upset. If we wouldn't have gotten this one, probably, I would have we still haven't gotten 18.
Yeah.
But now we're on the road to 20, which feels crazy. Like, obviously, we still have 19, but like 20 being attainable feels insane to me. Like, I fully expected waiting longer to see 18. Like, maybe never see it.
To see 18?
Yeah, before it happened. Yeah. Like, I mean,
just
it's just
because
so
the year
hard
after
to
year,
win.
you're always right there.
So close. It's just hard to win. And it happened. Anyway, let's get to the Lakers.
Yeah, the Lakers.
Team that now has the second most titles. Ha! So, yeah. Obviously, they have LeBron, AD, Austin Reeves. Did they add anybody big that I'm like totally spacing on? I feel like they didn't do much.
They obviously added a new coach in JJ Redick. What was that face you just made there? You just
can't believe I spaced that. That's so dumb of me.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're thinking about players. They have somebody named Kyler Kelly, who I've never heard of in my life, is on this roster. Gabe Vincent is coming back for a hopefully healthy season. I don't know how much of a difference maker he's going to be. LeBron James' son, I don't know if you've heard of him, is on this team.
LeBron James
Jr.? Yeah.
I think his legal name is Bronny now.
He changed it legally?
I'm just kidding. No, he didn't do that.
That would be so weird.
It's weird because like on like ESPN, it always is like their real name, like their full name. It's not like a nickname.
Sometimes.
But it's Bronny James on like ESPN and everywhere.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like that for quite a few, like Penny Hardaway or Steph Curry.
It's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true. They got Christian Wood. Or was he here last year?
Yeah, he was there last year, but I think he was injured. I think he might still be injured, I want to say, actually. Because in the preseason, I think I don't know if you saw, there was a video of fans all reacting to Christian Wood walking out of the tunnel. Everybody thought it was Anthony Davis because he had his hair braided kind of like AD's. When he was walking out, and everybody was like, AD, and he like turns his head and it's Christian Wood.
It's also like 3 inches shorter.
They're about the same height. Actually, like
really?
Right on. Yeah.
Oh.
Like both 6'9", 6'10"-ish.
Well, I thought, isn't longer. AD one of the guys that's like 6'9"?
Meaning he's taller than that?
Yeah.
I think he's listed at 6'10" usually.
Okay.
But Christian Wood is like listed. He's been fluctuated between 6'9" and 6'11". He used to be listed at 6'11", but yeah, maybe he's a tiny bit shorter, but not by much. Anthony Davis, height wise, is actually shorter a little bit than a lot of people think. But it's just his arms are. He has like the wingspan of what was it when he was being drafted. He was at the cover of like a magazine, Sports Illustrated. Comparing his wingspan to an albatross or a giant condor or something like that. Some like extinct bird that has like the longest or the widest wingspan.
Albatrosses I know have giant wingspans.
I think they're the biggest wingspans currently of any alive bird. I want to say is the albatross, if not second. But this other bird that is like recently extinct is like the largest wingspan that's ever been recorded physically by a human on a bird. It's just they don't exist anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, there's prehistoric bird like pterodactyls that have bigger, but those are just fossils. Nobody actually measured those on a real life bird.
Wow. This is getting interesting, the rabbit hole that we're going down.
Yeah. It's basically a tidbit theory that we're throwing in here.
Honestly.
But yeah, so the Lakers, though, Christian Wood is on this team. I think you kind of just jumped into things. We didn't get to the numbers. Their line this is another one that moved a lot. Not as much, but it moved 3 wins. It was 45.5. Now it's 42.5. So this one was an easy under for me before. I felt like at 45.5, but now with 42.5 wins is what they need to reach. Their record last year was 47-35, which was right below, just barely below their line heading into last season of 47.5. And they are 16th in our power rankings. So definitely right in this mix here with all their siblings in this division. But yeah, 42.5 being their line now. I honestly am feeling a little bit more towards the over than under. Because I was feeling like not like a super hard under before on the 45.5, but like a small one. And now with that being dropped down 3 wins, it feels a little more. Yeah, who knows? But this also could be my stay away since I haven't used my stay away officially. The Lakers might be the team I use it on.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go over. I don't know if that's the correct thing to do. I don't know if I feel great about it. That just feels low for a team that I don't think got that much worse.
Yeah, no, for sure. I would definitely lean over.
And I think JJ Redick will be good. I don't know if he'll be good while he's the LA coach. I think he will be good as a coach eventually. At the minimum. Yeah, I'm gonna go with an over and be optimistic for the folks of Los Angeles County that are Lakers fans, so most of them.
Yeah. I do feel like the tough thing with them is if they do experience any injuries, which their, main 2 guys are very old. Well, one of them is very old. The other one has just always been injury prone. And then like even outside of that, they've got some more injury prone guys with Christian Wood, Jared Vanderbilt. Gabe Vincent came off of a very injured season. Rui Hachimura has not had, he's had his fair share of injuries. Also. He
hasn't had a clean bill of health. Yeah.
So if they do experience any issues with injuries, you're looking at like some guys seeing the floor that really probably should not be on an NBA team. You're going to probably be seeing like real minutes from like Max Christie, and who I don't even not like that much. Like not a Max Christie fan, but him being as like playing like the 7th most amount of minutes for long stretches on this team
does feel good.
Yeah, does seem a little like they're a little bit thin there. So who knows? I think Bronny James would probably get time in game 1 of the NBA season. We haven't talked about this yet, but I feel like that's probably going to happen just so they can get the first pass thrown or the first whatever action done between a father and a son. Yeah, I think they'll ceremoniously just kind of do that at some point in game 1. Would be my guess, at least. I could definitely see that. But as for
I like Dalton Connect for them a lot.
For sure. White guy,
I'm actually optimistic about him. Like legitimately, not just like haha funny Bronny. Yeah, like I'm actually excited for him.
Yeah, no, he's definitely one of the most gassed up like sleepers or steals of this draft. So I feel like I'm probably not quite as high on him as most of the people saying that, but I'm also like I do think he's probably better than the 17th pick. I do feel like that.
Like I think there's a world where he ends up being like in the Rookie of the Year race. Maybe not because of the role he has, but in terms of like best guys as a rookie, not in the long run necessarily, but as a rookie, I feel like he has a chance to contribute to a team when they really, really need it, and not every rookie has that opportunity.
And JJ Redick, who, one could say he's an expert on shooting. I think that's pretty fair to say.
That's the one place, and that's definitely the thing you cannot take away from him at all.
I think he said that Dalton Connect is the best shooter on this team, which...
oh, wow.
Yeah.
That'll get you minutes pretty quickly.
Yeah. Especially on a team built around LeBron James and Anthony Davis. You're going to see a lot of guys rolled out there simply because they can shoot really well. And if you have that going for you, that will bode well for your chance in the rotation. So I do feel like Dalton Connect will probably be a contributor. And yeah, so if I had to pick something on this line, I would lean over. But I think I'm going to put my stay away here for now. Is the way I'm going to go at the moment. But I feel like I'm doing this to try to be a little bit different than you. But like now that I'm looking back at it, I'm like, I feel like the Clippers, like that's that's just more worthy of my stay away, I feel like,
No, that's cool. Well,
But then
again, like in theory, most of these we would be almost the same on.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess I'd just try. I think it's more fun to try to
it
choose
is when like we know.
Yeah.
It's like, we're the same every. Like the only way it matters is like where our locks are.
But
like,
I feel like
a lot of things matter.
That kind of was one of the things that probably hurt me a lot last year, was deciding to try to like zag on certain things where if in a vacuum I probably.
Too.
Oh, you did?
Like last year, like it was kind of like, I'm not gonna do the same thing. Let's go a different route.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess since we've been different on the Warriors pick so far, so I'll just switch. No, I'll stick to my guns. Lakers, my stay away. Clippers, under. You're going over on the Lakers. You use your stay away on the Clippers. Just keeping things the same. All right. I think we're done with the Lakers, I would guess, at least.
Yep.
Moving on to the Phoenix Suns, who is a team that I'm actually really high on. I really like their chances this upcoming season. I think that they're going to be the best team in this division by a lot. I mean, we have them at 9th in our power rankings to kind of jump out of order. Their line this year is 46.5. So unlike their divisional siblings, they have not had their line move. It's been exactly where it was this whole time. And then their record last year was 49-33. They won 49 games last year, which feels high. But their line heading into the year was 52.5, which was actually my under lock in this division. So I was able to get that paid off.
Mm-hmm.
It paid off for me, but it was not all that far away from their line. It was 3 wins below, or 4 wins rather. But this upcoming season, the line being quite a bit lower, and their division also feeling like it's quite a bit worse. I really like the upside on their over.
Dang it, you're going to take it.
Yeah, I might lock their over, honestly.
I was going to lock the over.
Okay.
The line just feels silly to me.
Yeah.
Like, what about, like, I get, like, they didn't have what you, like, wanted last year, but, like, they have, like, that mix of, like, proven, like, Devin Booker is going to, we probably have not seen the best version of Devin Booker. All of these guys.
He's like 28 now, isn't he? We could have.
We could have, I suppose. I don't know if we have fully.
Yeah. There's
because
still a chance.
I don't think he's been, in terms of his like prime peak, he's been the guy in his peak prime basketball abilities, and not that we'll see that this year. But
he was for a very bad team, but
when he was younger,
I guess he wasn't in his peak. I guess but he was the best player on his team still.
Yeah. But I think they're playing together another year. Mm-hmm. The odds of everybody being that hurt again is almost impossible. I shouldn't say that. The way their injuries lined up was so bad that they like never played together. Like one person would always go down like right as the next one was coming back.
For the most part, I think Bradley Beal was the main issue there. Like he just was out like a ton early on in the year. And then I think there was like one injury that Booker had that was a pretty sustained one towards the end of the year. They kept him out. But yeah, they all ended up playing like around 50-ish games, I want to say. Looks like Bradley Beal played 53. Booker actually played 68. I think Kevin Durant, was he eligible for awards? Or did he just miss the mark? He played 75. Okay, they played a lot more games than I thought. But together they didn't have a lot, especially early on in the season. It took them forever to actually play a game with all three of the big three, as I put in air quotes, because I don't know if Bradley Beal really deserves to be thrown into the big three group anymore. Until we see something change with him, especially the way he just crapped the bed in the playoffs last year, was probably the most disappointing player from the Suns in that series against the Timberwolves. And so, rough to see. And maybe he's had really good playoff performances in the past, back in those Celtics and Wizards series back in the day, where he was just on a heater. So maybe we see him contribute in that type of way in a Suns jersey, but we have not yet so far. So that's the one thing that's a little bit worrying, I guess. But the thing that I love about this team is all the moves that they made around the margins without any like freedom of movement because like
they put themselves in a terrible place.
Yeah, because of all the contracts on their books, they were somehow able to get that extension done for Grayson Allen, who became like the best shooter on the planet last season out of nowhere. I mean, like he was always a good shooter, but like I would have never thrown him in the like elite category. But then last year he was just like, I'm a full-time just running off the screens movement shooter, and I'm gonna do that at like 43% clip, like just consistently. So he's kind of like, you know, a JJ Redick, going back to that. He's playing like JJ Redick at the moment, at least. I don't know.
But like juiced. He looks huge. Have you seen pictures?
Bigger. He's
like
big.
It's like he is ready for the wear and tear. He was Michael Jordan, took on the Pistons, and knows what he needed. More body to handle the abuse. It's insane.
And he's got long arms too. People don't really think about that, but he has a pretty wide wingspan. And then Royce O'Neal is also still here. They've got him on a decent-ish deal. It also locked up, like, which is surprising how many more years they have him, all the way to 2028. And then Ryan Dunn was a guy they got in the draft, which a lot of people really like that pick. Jay Billis, I believe, and I heard some other people say that he's the best defender all around in the draft this year. I think probably they mean as a wing, because I would probably give that to like Donovan Clingan, I would guess.
Yeah.
There's
like a lot of defensive bigs that are very good.
Yeah.
Like impacting like the game the second they touch the court good as rookies. But
but Ryan Dunn probably like a wing stopper. Yeah. And then Colin Gillespie, RIP, is on this team, former Nugget. He's got a 2A spot here. And then Damian Lee, another shooter, but like I'm kind of bearing the lead here. The best signings they got, I thought, were Monte Morris on a minimum, and then somehow they also got Tyus Jones on a minimum, which I'm still blown away. That dude is like doing a bunch
of prove it contracts, and he keeps proving it, and no one's paying him.
Yeah, I mean, he was getting, in comparison to this, he was getting paid a lot last contract. He just got paid like, I think he was making like $14 million last season, which is like I thought a good contract for him. Like it was like he's probably worth more than that, honestly.
Yeah.
And then he gets signed for I just can't believe that. I don't understand what happened if people just got their memory erased with everything that has to do with Tyus Jones. But like when he was in Washington for a year, they're like, "Oh, I forgot you. Are you new to the NBA? Is this a new player?" Like they just forgot what he was in a Grizzlies uniform. Like literally a year, maybe 2 years ago, if you polled most people, like most NBA fans, most NBA like, you know, nerds or whatever, ask them who are the best backup point guards in the NBA. 2 of the top 3 people, maybe the top 2 names that would be given out would be Tyus Jones and Monte Morris.
And they have both of them
on minimum deals for a team that is like very needing a point guard. Cobbling minutes together between like just going back and forth, toggling back and forth between Monte Morris and Tyus Jones is basically a full-time starter. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, truly. Yeah.
So the other, just for the detail, throwing it out, the other name that I was throwing in there with the top 3 for backup point guards best in the NBA was TJ McConnell.
Peyton Pritchard.
Peyton Pritchard. Yeah, he wouldn't be far down the list, that's for sure.
No, I definitely would probably also like TJ McConnell for sure. But one of the happiest, like, I've got, like, before the Celtics and Nuggets game, I went back and watched some of the playoff games. And game 3, watching Peyton Pritchard and TJ McConnell, like, yell at each other was awesome.
Yeah.
I want that every game always now.
That'd be a great matchup. Yeah.
It was art. They just were mad at each other. And neither of them really like shot great or looked great. It just was like getting after each other. And it was great.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's just crazy to me that they somehow were able to get Tyus Jones, Monte Morris on minimums. And then another minimum guy that they got was Mason Plumlee, who a few years ago was looked at as one of the best backup bigs in the NBA. I don't think he's quite at that same spot anymore, but he's still kicking. Last season, he was pretty good for the Clippers when Zubats was injured for a pretty long stretch there. I think Mason Plumlee did a fine job. Obviously, you're the type of player that Plumlee is. His job was made immensely easier having a pick and roll partner with James Harden. Like a guy like Mason Plumlee is like made to pair with James Harden. Makes him a lot more efficient probably than he would be other places. So I guess I don't know who his pick and roll partner would be on this Suns team, but definitely could run it with Booker as the main ball handler, even Bradley Beal. Obviously, the 2 point guards that we were just talking about, Tyus Jones and Monte Morris,
would be able to do it probably fine.
And Monte Morris and him did it for years together in Denver as the backup unit, backup point guard and center for multiple years in a row was Monte Morris and Mason Plumlee. So we could see that be reignited. Frank Kaminsky is also still on this team. I think that's good on saying some names, but I think I am going to lock my over pick on the Phoenix Suns, which is funny because I just locked the under last season, as I mentioned before. Funny
the
how
line's just
things
better
change
this year to go over.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to ride with my boy KD. I will also lock my over for all of the reasons that you expressed. They had nothing and somehow shifted nothing to get better. So kudos to them.
Yeah, which I really liked. Somehow it was 2 seasons in a row where they've made really good moves on the margins. Well, because last offseason I mentioned them as like not the winner of the offseason.
A potential though.
But yeah, like if you shift the way you're looking at it, kind of like if you adjust for proportions, like they did the most with what they had.
Least, yeah.
And getting
like signing Drew Holiday and KP is like an impossible thing to like outdo.
Yeah, we're trading for them.
Sorry, not signing.
Yeah,
trading and then giving them money after the fact. But yeah,
yeah. But I think the thing like Eric Gordon and even those some other guys like Chimezi Metu and Utah Watanabe were both guys I liked that on minimums that they got last season. Those guys are all gone now, as with the minimum cycle of 1-year deals. But I think they've gotten even better value picks or value pickups signings with that philosophy this year. So that will be it for the Suns. We both are locking the over on them. On to the final team in this division, the Sacramento Kings, who probably had the biggest addition, I would say, in this offseason for this division. And that was DeMar DeRozan getting traded there. The fit isn't like awesome, and that's why I'm not like super high on them, but that was the biggest player add, that we've seen in this division. Their line is another one that moved, but this one just slightly. It was 46.5. Now it is 45.5, which was right under what they got last year, which was 46-36 as their record, with the line of 44.5 heading into last season, is what they had there. And I think, trying to remember what I did on them last year.
I think we both went under. Because this was a team
I went over, you went under.
I went under. I know it was really close because I was like losses have to come from somewhere, and I just don't know like how that goes.
Oh yeah, I definitely remember you having that take on the Kings,
being like the losses have to come from somewhere, and I just don't know where. And I picked wrong. I picked the Kings, and it was close, but they beat it. So
yeah, and they, I have them ranked at 17th. Or we have them ranked at 17th in the HT Power Rank. So really just filled out the 16 through 20 rank. We're just missing number 19 in this division. And we just took the leading one off of that and made it 9th.
19.
So their line, though, being at 45.5 is a bit tougher because at 46.5, I was feeling the under. And I think I'm still probably feeling the under at 45.5, but it's a lot closer. A lot closer, that's for sure.
I'm gonna go with the over.
Okay.
Soft over. Well, obviously it's a soft because my lock is gone. I'm gonna go with an over because I I'm just about it. I'm just about it. And that's why I'm going to go over.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair. Definitely fair, especially with the DeRozan addition. It's just, I don't know, I don't love their defense. Their roster's just not built to guard teams. That's for sure. Domantas Sabonis, De'Aaron Fox, DeMar DeRozan, Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter, Keegan Murray. There's the first name on here that is a pretty good defender. All the rest are more liabilities for the most part. Jalen McDaniels, and also one of the best defensive players on their team, potentially, who would have been one of those, is a rookie that they just got. One of my favorite picks in the draft was Devin Carter, but he's going to be injured at least till like January or February or something like that. Because I think
really? I didn't realize he was out that long.
He tore his ACL.
Oh boy,
I think was what it was. I can check to make sure on that because I do want to get that right. Devin Carter. If I did not already say his name, I don't know if I did. But yeah, I think he heard it at the summer league. It was pretty early. No, it was torn labrum actually, and he will miss a significant portion of the 2024-2025 season after undergoing left shoulder surgery to repair a torn labrum. So yeah,
but that's also what kept Ja out, right? That's what knocked out Ja last year.
Yeah, towards labrum. So it's not as serious as a ACL injury, that's for sure.
But it's also a thing that's like hard because it like messes with like that important thing in basketball known as shooting. Like even when you come back, it's still.
Is he a lefty?
Was it his left one?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
I bet he might be a lefty. I know that you're saying.
I just was saying that as in like, it's more than just like, obviously ACL you have to run in every sport, but like little fine things like that getting messed with can really, really hurt.
Yeah, like Markelle Fultz, prime example.
Yep.
Yeah, he is right-handed. So thankfully it is not his shooting arm. But still, yeah, definitely something that he'll have to rehab and get his way through to get back on a NBA, not back on an NBA court, but be on an NBA court for the first time, as he is a rookie this upcoming season. But yeah, so outside of him, I think that honestly is a pretty big hit in terms of guys that they were going to be looking to fill out some defensive lineups for them. Keon Ellis is definitely the guy in terms of, a defender on their team. That is his specialty. Absolutely. And then they got Jalen McDaniels, who is like his brother is a very, very good defender. He is like also pretty good. He's not as good, but size, like he's more of a theoretical guy. Like he's 6'8", 6'9", like he has the length, but we have not seen him be like all that great as like a two-way stopper or something like that. I think he struggles a little bit with the fouls, similarly to his younger brother, as that is the bane or the weakness that he has. But yeah, so outside of that, though, there's not like any guys that are like real players that are going to be defending that I can really see. Alex Len is on this team. You mentioned him last episode. I think
yeah.
Trey Lyles is also on this team. Again, not a defender. So it's going to be rough for the Kings in terms of stopping other teams from scoring.
No, it's just going to be, we'll race you to 150.
Yeah.
Catch us if you can.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, obviously, 150 is extreme, but
yeah,
it'll be like Pacers last year to the max. It will be like, we have no intention of really inhibiting you defensively.
Yeah.
We're just going to score 120.
Yeah, and like the thing why I'm not like super high on their offense, like I think their offense is really good, don't get me wrong, but like I don't know if it's like enough to make up for their defense, because Fox, DeRozan, and Sabonis, if you have all three of them on the floor at the same time, because they're your three best players, so ideally you'd like to be able to have your three best players on the court at the same time. If you have those three out there, you're gonna need to have the other two players be like Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter, or maybe Keegan Murray could be out there with one of those other guys. Like it has to be some really good shooters, because Sabonis, not really a shooter. He does shoot a tiny bit, but has been reluctant to, for sure, so far, and his doing the experiment of shooting threes, and he's also not all that consistent. De'Aaron Fox is very up and down, but pretty muchly down overall as a 3-point shooter. DeMar DeRozan never takes them, but even when he does, he's been showed to not be that great of a 3-point shooter. Definitely not like a spacer off the ball. So it's just, those three guys together is going to be tough to have like one of the best offenses in the world. You know, it doesn't really make a whole lot of logistical sense when you think about it that way. But they will probably have to tinker with how they do lineups, and I'm sure like, you know, DeRozan, it's always going to be like at least one or two of them on the floor at all times, you know. Probably going to be staggering their minutes quite a bit. The other thing that I would like to mention about the Kings is Sabonis is apparently changing his jersey number. They unretired the jersey number 11 in Sacramento to allow him to use 11, which is, you know, his father's number. Yeah. Not with the Kings, but it was his number in Portland, and it's been DeMontis's number everywhere he's gone.
Everywhere else.
Yeah, until he got to Sacramento. Apparently,
who was 11?
It was retired for, I can't remember his name now. It was a player who was on the Rochester Royals. So it was like a long time ago. It was back when they were in
Bob Harrisburg Houdini Davies.
Bob Davies. Yeah, that's who it was. And his family apparently gave the okay. Like they unretired his number. But wasn't he playing for the Rochester Royals? Is that
Rochester Royals? I don't know. Maybe Davies is from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, but his nickname is the Harrisburg Houdini.
Oh, that would make sense. But yeah, so has never played in Sacramento, obviously. He's several Kings team locations away from the Sacramento stop because they went from Rochester
KC?
To KC. I don't know if KC was next, but they did go to KC and Omaha technically for a little bit for like half a season or something like that. There was a couple seasons, I think, in a row where they split the home games half and half between KC and Omaha. So there were the KC/Omaha Royals or Kings. Yeah, that would be the Kings because the Kansas City Royals as the MLB team probably existed at that point.
The Kansas City Omaha Kings.
Yep. Yeah. So that's the only time Omaha's ever had a pro basketball team. Or I shouldn't say pro, but, you know, NBA basketball team.
They were the Rochester Seagrams, then the Rochester Royals.
Seagram?
Then the Cincinnati Royals.
Cincinnati, that was the other one, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then they were in Kansas City/Omaha. And then they were in Sacramento.
Seagram. What is a Seagram? Is that a bird?
I don't know.
How do you spell that?
CEAGRAMS. Seagram.
C?
It's a company. Duh. Seagrams. They're like they make booze.
Oh, but that's with an S.
Did I say C? I meant S. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
C as in like C. SEA.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Seagrams.
Mm-hmm.
They make... What do they make that's really, really good? They make like a wine cooler that's like insanely good. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. But that's what their name was from, you're saying?
I think so. Like when you like...
The team was named after that.
Yeah, I think so.
Is that where they're from, maybe? Is Rochester? Why would they... They're Canadian, apparently. Why would the team be named after that? It doesn't make any sense.
They were sponsored by the Canadian distiller Seagram.
Oh, so they used to just put naming rights as like a you could sell the naming rights of the team, basically.
I think that's why it's the Green Bay Packers.
Is Packers a company? What do you mean?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Or was at one point.
I just thought they were called the Green Bay Packers because that was like a very common industry. Like that's like the main...
The Indian Packing Company.
Okay.
Is what the original sponsor for the Green Bay Packers was.
Oh, so they were a sponsor. Okay. But that one at least still makes sense as like because it's like unique to their city for the most part. Like that's like what Green Bay is known for. You know, it's like the Pittsburgh being the city of steel. You know what I mean? It's like Seagram's is not. They weren't from. They're a Canadian company, so it's just weird to be like, oh yeah, if you're a company that wants to pay us a lot of money to make us like have your name, and it doesn't have to do anything with the fan base or with the city at all. It's just kind of funny. But anyways, getting off of that rabbit hole, Sacramento Kings, their line is 46.5 or 45.5. And I'm going to go, you went over on it. I'm going to go either slightly under or switch my stay away here and go over on the Lakers. Or was I feeling under on the Lakers before? I don't even remember.
Under?
I'm like so all over the place this episode. I have no idea.
I feel that.
But I'm just going to go under on the Sacramento Kings is what I'm going to lock in as my pick. So to review quickly, we have the Golden State Warriors. I went over, you went under on 43.5 wins. The Clippers, their line is 37.5. I went under, you went stay away. Then with the Lakers, their line is 42.5. I went stay away, you went under. The Suns, 46.5. We both locked the over. The Kings, 45.5. I went under, you went over. So that is going to be our picks for this division. And that leaves only one division left to get to, and that will be next episode. So please stay tuned and check into that. That will be the Southwest Division, which is the Texas teams. So San Antonio Spurs, the Houston Rockets, the Dallas Mavericks, and then a couple other teams that are east of there, which is the Memphis Grizzlies and the New Orleans Pelicans, which I believe Memphis is the only team in the Western Conference that is east of the Mississippi River, but they are directly on the Mississippi River. So it is close, but that will be the end of this over-under series that we are going through. And that will also mean that the NBA season has officially started once that has come out. So that is exciting. We are looking forward to that. Hopefully everybody has the best of luck in this NBA season. Stay happy, stay healthy. We will talk to you guys next episode.
Peace.